So, amicable numbers. You've probably heard of amicable pairs, two numbers where each divisors add up to the other. Turns out that idea can chain. Number A leads to B, leads to C, and eventually sometimes it loops all the way back to A. We're looking for the longest one of those loops under a million. Kimi K3, Fable, GPT-5.6 Sol, Grok 4.5, no hints. Everyone gets it right again, but this one's got two separate things stacking on top of each other, and that's exactly where it gets interesting. Okay, so proper divisors of a number. That's every divisor except the number itself. Add those up, you get a new number, do it again to that one, and again. Sometimes you crash down to 1, sometimes you shoot past a million and it's over. But sometimes the chain actually loops back around to that exact number you started with. That's an amicable chain, and the length can be way more than 2. Now, doing this for every starting number up to a million means you need the sum of proper divisors for almost all the numbers in that range, over and over. Try dividing each one from scratch, and that's genuinely too slow here. It won't even finish in reasonable time. So there's two decisions that matter. How do you build up that lookup table fast? And once you're walking a chain, how do you check if you've already seen a number? GPT builds its lookup table the direct way. For every number, it adds to all its multiples. Like take 6, go add 6 to the divisor sum of 12, 18, 24, every multiple. Do that for every number up to a million and it's correct, and it's a reasonable way to build a table. It's just not the fastest way because you're touching a huge number of entries over and over, one at a time. Fable builds that same table completely differently through prime factorization. For every number, break it into its prime factors first, and then there's an actual formula using just those primes and their powers. That hands you the full divisor sum directly with no repeated adding across the whole table. So instead of touching millions of entries one by one, it's doing a fixed amount of work per number based on primes it already knows. Same table, same numbers built in about half the time. Grok's the one carrying both costs at once. Slower table, the direct add to every multiple method, and then on top of that, the list-based check while walking the chain instead of something quicker. Neither one on its own is a huge deal, but you stack the slower table build and the slower lookup together, and it's the biggest gap of the four. Kimi uses that same fast prime factorization table as the one that Fable does. Where it differs is the chain walking part. As it walks the chain, it checks whether it's already seen a number by scanning through a small list, which works fine. Chains here aren't that long, but a list scan does get slightly lower as that list gets longer. Fast table, slightly slower walk, and it still lands right behind Fable. 4 correct answers, all landing on 14,316 with a chain length of 28. Fable was the fast table, quick lookup, and the fastest overall. Kimi used the same fast table, but a slightly slower lookup, which was close behind. GPT used the slower table, but a quick lookup, which was middle of the pack. And Grok used the slower table and slower lookup both at once, which meant it was the slowest of the 4. So the winner is Fable, and it's really two decisions working together. Building the table through prime factorization instead of brute addition, and checking chain membership efficiently once you're walking. Kimi's right behind it. The same smart table, just a slightly slower way of checking as it walks. GPT is solid, and honestly the direct table building method isn't actually wrong, it's just not the quickest way. And Grok, this is the one to note because nothing's incorrect, but the actual problem is that it's paying both costs at once instead of just one. So the real answer is 14,316, and the longest amicable chain under a million is 28 numbers long, looping right back to where it started. And this time the gap wasn't from one big idea, it was two smaller ones stacked together.